be want to feel much for community, you mean sharing your ability to okay any less. What when you mention can make you make any be near no can see such a man when in a share. Sunday would only come away many of our deportation care visa denial. Nature care many found Bename, I guess, when I catch up and you to come up with remember many bad than the back I deport Muko. Allo, I will like be allo actually the cashing manco, ake eba. In the can visa name, baby, a cover bear, no gino nins and no near community can visa and the baba near Abake Mokwake, a humble, the can visa name. While Lenuka humble way over your course and no appeal near a humble call. I look at a humble ben no G na ben kwa emi wo kase ni koni aleno ke o tu no fa body ben ni oba achon ke ko tie atwa ona ne se tu oku o se oba hia eho wo che ko ye bia ni e poju ba die nche ni e ba yi ebu awo egbe ji Chris Alipui-Plunch ni eji Paralegal specialist on immigration law eji mo ko ni e po be family san ji na ka ni bi ni o mi ke onale e ba yi ba oju ba die nche oche okay hia fe
Shadugba.
Ni nche beno here if me abuya metuem ko ke legal law on immigration many party.
And quale J paralegal law she is a practice known as paralegal. It's a course I think no bad can be about law in general. She could specialize in a particular field there. No, a trouble paralegal specialist. So me know in specialize in immigration. And then I understudy some of the renowned lawyers in the US. They were them and come junior in na nakai in
no go no immigration many party jini bi kuma ya immigration be fan allo mami ba allo no ko close.
Immigration jo ake o fangbe keje o mano no yo ke ya mukokru mano ni oya seek for greener pasture lo ya kaseni alo ya asramko she aye immigration then aye emigration then aye migration emigration ko kwa but for contest me jake o exit o mano no ya no badon for permanent stay. Immigration is a process. But migration, it governs immigration. It governs locally and international. But immigration international. Your migration won't have to do with also international and local. But immigration, it has to do with international. Or migrate from one country to another. Iwo keji ekole oya Ghana no tano ya Togo. Ni oya hinjeme. No na teme permanent residence. No na permit no ketuni ejeme. But you are migrating from Ghana to Togo. Now, emigration in Jake, there's a process. You are exiting your country without wanting to have anything to do with your country anymore. Who emigrate to this country. There's a process to it. There's a legal process to it. And then migration, the migration will try to tani weko ya kumasi o migrate kaya nine tema alo Accra no ji migration
baby oba na ke wake to ne ke be fambe titire onye me ni trouble ke ni bi ne ni ekole ni bi ni akafangbe obe kopo shimbon kakashika ayode ke oto no fangbe ni ni bi kome ni sanona no le ake e ba hiabo da no fodwumo po ake be hye ni kole obanye ofangbe
anakwale ekole businessman jibo Ghana otunu na odi owo ndesifiu dade yodi otanu oyakwe abrochi brafoma no. The first thing you have to do ake man no ya so no le man have idea about man no ya no ya eko ya for vacation purposes hotel no ba kan ke ye no ba ye ni e kan bi fe ba explore fe internet no. There's opportunity when you can be a thing. Or access na can be pay time. Then you look at the second thing. Benono ba choma na wulu no pa yoka ya. Ewo obaya embassy niji keji America. What use America for example? Obaya American but read them visa requirement. Oba kwe. Oko kwe ko na ke these are the requirements. You make sure you fulfill all those requirements. Ni challenge no ejake most of the requirements keji na amenu shishi. Most of them ask for assistance to lawyers to advise them on how to proceed. No, ejame. She catchy or meeting a requirement. No, you might end up getting denied. But you have to make sure you meet the requirement to become what we call eligible for the visa. Now, if you're eligible for the visa, no point you are entitled. No. Once you're eligible, you can apply. But now, application and whether you are entitled for the visa which you have applied for. Entitlement interview to show I'm eligible for the visa. Now, I'm claiming my entitlement to that visa. So the test is the interview. Whether you are actually entitled for the visa that you are eligible, you are eligible to apply for. When akaji beni process say yo, kaji obami, ko kwemi, fulfill application process, visa fee, and those visa fees and application process, any money paid to the embassy are not refundable. Europe require travel insurance or insurance with medical travel insurance that you have to, secure from an independent insurance agency. Pay visa fees, the official application. Then the next thing is to book an appointment. Well, those things are not in one place for you to do. They are in different platforms. So yes, it's possible you can do it yourself through research, but most people don't have the time, the luxury of time to do so. Well, they would rather consult other people, and that's where they fall victims to fraud and other things. But then the best thing is call your lawyer, your immigration, knowledge. You consult that person for advice. Like I give any
you say ne o chon no ne visa de moshke ha. Chi e ko le mo ko na kan bi le nye ko ne kan visa ne mini de moshke ha ni te no yi bo atani sani ke wo fangbe onyani sani oyani onaneke.
Anokwale. Visa actually, the name visa came from a Latin word, or some maybe derived. It migrate from different ancient and Roman and languages. Where visa, the first name came up was charter visa, which is open to see or has been open and is clear. Allo diplo, a folded object. That's in Latin. No ni chuchue akefangbe. Ni ka abafangbe representation ni your manemi okoya Togo. Money your bien babu naka diplo a folded and in a object allo paper ake angma ni yemi instructing the next.
No bien no ye diplomatic passport can be it monoko nakai allo jina.
Naka no mba. That's where it derived from. It was not other representation okay, well, representation you qualify to enter for the purpose you apply or now migrate about metamorphosis into the word visa, charter visa. Niji visitors international state admission. In the word deploy no I may transform diplomatic what we call it communication and diplomatic notes. When you visa about change, you can get diplomatic nation. We have diplomatic visas. I feel like government officials need a diplomat. It was visa a acronym visitors international state admission, which means schedule secure visa. You don't have to. It's not a guarantee that you enter the country. Rather, you have to seek admission to enter. An admission process where you're secondary, primary. Primary admission is a port of entry. The purpose of visitor. You'll be asked, how long are you going to stay? And where are you going to stay? You have to give an address. So, look actually, I-94, I feel physical, I feel electronically. You will put your address and the duration of stay. They will just look at it and review it and then grant you entry. Now, if there's a doubt to your you'll be subjected to what we call secondary inspection. And secondary inspection, there will be more scrutiny beyond the entry point. About questions about application itself. Either about your application, then those questions will arise. And that's what a lot of people found themselves wanting. Well, 9 out of 10 people get deported back. They get removed. Expeditedly removed back to their country. That's actually 235B.
Freedom of migration.
Freedom of migration. Yes, it's true. That's a language.
visa can be near but the minimum the equal bo bo in any equal about denial.
And freedom of migration comes with its rules and regulations. It has legal effects. I feel free. Anybody that can migrate as long as you qualify or you meet the requirement of that country that you are going. Freedom doesn't mean it's free. You have to meet certain criteria. If you see the word freedom, it doesn't mean it's free. No, it's an expression. Yeah, you are free to migrate, but you have to meet certain requirements to be able to migrate to the country which you are applying to migrate into. Requirement you are not eligible for the visa, you'll be denied. I remember I quote a former ambassador, US ambassador. I'll be like, many Ghanaians, me can apply a visa, a visa, then I deny me. I respond, okay, the criteria to assess eligible applicant, which I'm quoting the former ambassador, okay, single, less educated, poorly employed, and I think, people who are not financially wealthy, they stand a chance to be denied visas compared to those who are well-to-do, highly educated, and gainfully employed and married. It was to be like, it was catching later be a married money a highly visa be married. Ketabi, she mukwane married. She educational background, ke access, ke a publicity, ke a type of employment here is publicly known. It will such people they stand a chance to be eligible for the visa or to are entitled to the visa. But a lot of people even if you watch some of the applications, you can tell there are inconsistencies, the application partially incompleted, a whole of technical issues. They are not qualified or they are not ready to travel, or they have no knowledge about what it entails to apply for a visa. And it's do it yourself, it's online. You can read all those information and help yourself with it. If you find difficulty in assessing those information or trying to interpret or to apply it yourself, you can see an immigration expert or lawyer who can guide you out through the process. But it's do it yourself. Yes.
No, we are about ocean lemmy, or Yenoko, allow you about the non be a never care. I mean, to Moko bank account can even get family be a leno.
No, well, it's not with the U.S. Embassy application process. It's not a must. I guess I know. Oh, yes, she can your account. She can do your school. No, Sani, I may ascertain that you are financially secured enough to meet your school tuition requirement. It will also allow you to get a sponsor if you qualify. If you should get admission, you can get a sponsor, family member, your father, your parents, but they can sponsor you. Yes, but not necessarily Sani for. But once you can prove, you have the means to support the purpose of your travel. Yes, you can get the sponsor to do so, especially for educational purposes. But for visitor, U.S. Embassy, for instance, other countries require to see certain transactions in your account. British High Commission, well, it doesn't matter if you have millions of dollars or cities. It doesn't matter. They look at the inflow, whether it's steady or it's just made for visa purposes. Well, those things are some of the things they look at. And they are very particular about those transactions and everything. Yeah.
Money, I deny Boneke, visa, alone visa, a harbour, and do work as Sunday or appeal, Nike or banana thing, no way I feel Bejima, I may a bonche or smano, but do okay, Sanika mega mepane, appeal.
And quale not only been a Nagbawa in a canvas applications name process me. But then it has a discretion of the embassy, all the missions, consulates, they choose whom they give visa to and who they not give visa to. So it's not by law, Sani I may have a visa to all costs, Darby. It is their discretion. And the visa regulations, especially with America, is not statutory, it's purely administrative. So they exert what we call a serious immigration, meaning they have more discretion authority to do what? To exercise during the visa interview. Though some of the foreign affairs manual allow agency guidelines requires like a proper visa adjudication requires the consular officer to give the applicant opportunity to support the application with any other document that they require. But it's not an obligation. They can choose to review, they can choose not to review. It's not a requirement at all. But it's proper for them to do so. But they are not obliged to do so.
Yes. Mukoni mkwa wane kule ne kenvisa ne tuwa ne apply eko. Ni eformoja ke anyana hale koni nagbe ni efagbe. Ni jinibi kumeno ba wulenga. Ni enyani efi alebo infimo koni ketie enyani dromo na kule nyani ya.
First of all, the intent to travel must be genuine. You have to have a genuine intent to travel. Most applicants say, we don't have a genuine intent to travel. If your intent to travel contradicts the purpose of your travel, your interview process is already in a shambles. Because, for instance, Otani, we have visit o sister, allo, o mami, allo, papa, allo, mukwejeme. O plan jake, kote obado. Meanwhile, your application yake, kote obaba 3 months. During the interview process, questions will arise. How long do you want to stay? You might be thinking like a colleague because being a first timer, you might be thinking, oh, let me tell them that, oh, I'm going for only 3 months. Meanwhile, in your mind, but when that happens, you get to the point of entry, do scrutiny. There are cases like that. Only 2 weeks. How long you came back say for 1 year? He mentioned this during the interview. When I started an application that he wanted to spend a week or 2. It was subjected to secondary inspection. And out of 10, you'll be brought back to Ghana. It was Keji Otanoya, your intent must be genuine. Number 1. And then once you've made that intent that you are going for a particular purpose, you start preparing for it by making a research, the state which you want to visit, especially if you are going for as a tourist. Hotel you are going to stay, how much it's going to cost you, all those factors must be put together. How long are you going to stay? Or back calculate, or play fair, can you be fair, back calculate fair, you are financially secured or gainful to be able to embark on a set trip. Once you have been able to ascertain all those facts and you know that you are capable of doing it, when you go to the interview, you are confident. Any question that comes up, you'll be able to defend it. And if you require a documentation, you can prove it. But in the absence of all these things, you will not be able to pass the interview, the first stage, in the first place.
What were deportation? You call it only often or Schengen, Bonnie, or we are other nation to Ake, who said ni Oyo Mubabiake, ni Onyote, na Hambo Egbe, ni Onye Ocho Airport, nobody plane me, ni often be any trying to burn off your nation. She called Schengen be Pierre actual return. Deportation. Nne be come wani about deport mokaya ema.
And quale the may be doing we o visa, genuine visa. You have been approved. Are you sure? Now you get to the point. The whole process starts at the point of entry. POE ko shejame ababibu ake. They have access to the data. They will ask you, how long are you going to stay? Okay, I'm going to stay for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I approve 6 months entry. That's the standard B1, B2 visa. Say about if only it's not annotated. Annotation means like a KG hankubu specific period of time about stay, other than the standard in a period. It was about 6 months. Require 2 weeks. Now about exit for 6 months. Now remind you, the B1, B2 visa is a tourist and business and pleasure visa, which allows you to travel multiple times within 5 years. It is not designed for you to go and stay in America for 5 years. No, that's not what it's meant for. Now, that's why the first entry I have was 6 months to be able to do 1 or 2 things based on your request. Now, people do not understand these things. And KG Amenishe, visa no na have 6 months. And people choose to stay exactly 6 months and come back. People try to stay. Now, there are genuine causes why you can stay beyond your 6 months, especially medical conditions or emergency and other things. But then you cannot just override the 6 months personally with that authority from the Department of State. Because like no you stay for more than 6 months, you file what we call an extension through the Department of State. And quale imbami in kama 2 weeks. She Here by year, allow conditions come a compare me my issue for more than 6 months. Say, well, yeah, me no higbe. You put in a request to that effect, and it's a filing. You file, and then they have to assess it whether your reasons to overstay or to be granted an extension is meritorious. It will care about it. Then they will assess. Nine of them you have a genuine cause, they will special medical grounds or compelling humanitarian need about grantable. Like 6 months. Now, that grant 6 months say. Ni oya, ni 6 months ago, ni 1 year ago. Consider yourself, you have established what we call illegal presence at that moment. It will catch you find yourself in the hands of any police officer or any immigration officer, you'll be subjected to scrutiny, and therefore you'll be placed in what we call removal proceedings. Now, talk about deportation. There are people that are undocumented aliens.
Undocumented.
There are people who also are classified arriving aliens. Then we have people who they place them into they are deportable aliens. Deportable aliens are those who are in America legally, maybe permanent residents, but they are not citizens, but they are permanently residing there, and they have committed crimes, either crime of moral turpitude, but if they are there within 5 years. Okay. I'm not beating me. For 5 years, I might not have a green card 5 years. Ni I may commit crime. There's no immigration law violation can be committed. They are good. After 5 years, and they found themselves. I may Tom na immigration law I may fenokoni term in the immigration law as a crime. Then they are entitled to what we call one-time cancellation of removal because they've already passed the threshold of 5 years without any crime. Now, KG, these are deportable aliens. Now, people like undocumented aliens and people who arrived in America, they didn't go through inspection. They come from Mexico, or they came in undocumented, or they came in uninspected. Undocumented aliens because they were not inspected. Entry without inspection. I had better not deport on your fan. The many know you're easy, undocumented, arriving alien. When you bet that much legal stance, could never fight. The best is Franco. Never fight, then your deportation is very easy. Many deportable aliens, which is they have certain privileges under the law because they have permanent residence. They can violate it. Well, they are subject to what we call Section 240B. That's the removal proceedings. They have to be brought before the Executive Office of Immigration Review, e.g., Immigration Hearing Forum. Executive Office of Immigration Review. Crime no committed. About the table for the purpose of the crime, a sentence where maybe 2 years, 1 year. The immigration will also take part. They take over and then assess your crime and look at whether you are fit to be within the society or the green card in which you still qualify to hold it after they serve your sentence. Well, that is a matter a court have to decide. Then you have to secure immigration lawyer. Immigration lawyer is one of the most expensive lawyers in the US because in America, in a practice, immigration law is one of the most complex laws next to IRS tax law. And being deportable alien, mind you, you might not be financially gainful enough to try to hire the services of immigration lawyer. No G problem any it was deportation. I am a shorty. Boku ejeme ebotemi uninspected. A seek asylum. I have a temporary protective status. The status expire. He become what we call undocumented, and he's subject to deportation. Boku ejeme take a visa egbo. Ejeme still a legal presence. Such a person can mole automatically substituted 5 years, but that removal akamoya obese. She kaji citizen Jiboniji unnaturalized the American citizen Jibwe. The only citizen is not a right, it's a privilege. It will call naturalize, then you can become American citizen through Title 4, Amendment 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, grant the right to naturalization to get you a citizenship. Now, Kajonaka citizenship is just a privilege and it can be taken away from you. There are certain crimes to more terrorists, allow espionage, can be a revoke right privilege as a citizen. It's not that juicy. When you are granted such opportunity, you have to protect it and protect it right.
Mama, we are getting no. When you knew ya, near to a bit not or than we are me, near the cry. May you not
Make my own kind, but I'm a lay. Now, visa fair
what
and it depends on the category of visa you apply for. Yeah, visa say no back a quote your bad on. One of them is DV lottery. DV lottery ne ko win a have opportunity to stay there permanently. It will know the criteria does not mean I can quote your baba. Criteria jacket, do you qualify under the DV lottery requirement? Need requirement basically a keji obey degree allo obey in SHS allo what's in actual then you must attain at least vocational skills. Need the training is about 2 years. You all practice for about 5 years. Then you qualify under the lottery. Yes, still you need a WASI or one of these basic education certificates to support it. It will that will support the MVTI allo the rest. Now, no quote interview, I can criteria like whether you have all the requirements. After winning the lottery, it's not a guarantee I can have a visa, Daddy. And if you winning the lottery, it doesn't even guarantee you an interview. It's a disclosure there. Because the number of entrants nearby influx high. You will conduct interview and there's a grace period up to September somewhere, 30th or something. That can you check interview, then you have to try again.
Meaning abanye no na show ya
you loto pepepeshi your interview. You banyo your interview la una banya deniable based on documentary requirements about a failure to meet what educational or documentary requirements.
When you don't apply for them just no can be
apply for. Then what about document? Even if you qualify based on the documentations, you are now going to defend those documents. That is actually you and you qualify. That's why you have to go for interview. It's not that juicy.
Now, what were US public ban on travelers ni Ghana or Habiake a Jinoko ni Jagbe, a Jinoko ni Colesana Chon, Tapajaga, somebody only in quarter from Bagay, alumini waponi, am I way?
And a lot of news articles about out. Ghana is being considered, to be part of the countries that have been banned from traveling to the US. But it is not confirmed, Ghana will be part of it. It is part of it. But the US Embassy has come out, I think yesterday, it's a suggestion that was internal cable news from the State Department to the President to consider extending the ban to other countries, including Ghana. But it's not yet confirmed. So the embassy has made it clear that those who have legitimate intent to travel, to study, or go for visit, they are welcome to apply for the visas. And they assure them with all the necessary cooperation to assist them to get their visas. Yes. It will ban now. Yeah, other countries are affected, including Togo. But Ghana is not yet part of it. But it's being considered according to the news. But it's not confirmed. That is a fact. Yes, so U.S. Embassy news and in a press review, that should be a fact that yes, amidst all these news and here and there, they are still welcoming applications. Their portals are open and it's accessible to all Ghanaians to apply with legitimate intent to visit, to school, or to conduct their business. It will be
what were deportation? Akabato, only said to no cause over. Nibi Kumanaka to on a jam, Phil Bashan, I call about especially a Neke on document, Abanya Buchulonoko.
Abanya Wuchu, the Mekaji and Mobile and
not blood way.
In immigration contest, could you violate immigration law is purely civil. J criminal ni. Because I said earlier that immigration in a practice and say it's still administrative. It will KJ infringe or violate immigration law is purely civil. It will where the detention in question is known as civil detention, not criminal detention. Now, if it is purely immigration violation, but when there's a preceding crime that gave rise to your immigration scrutiny, then you have to serve the crime, the punishment of the crime first, then you'll be subject to immigration violation scrutiny. Granted, equally drunk driving, ni amobo, or your self-sentence, or 2 occasions, no bar. Immigration be about people question, you are habitual, what they call it, offender. Now, immigration contains the 2 crimes of moral turpitude there, you become deportable alien. Those 2 crimes of moral turpitude, any crime that is morally turpitude, so it means you are not fit to be in a society. So they have to assess you, see how long you've been in the state, what kind of crime have you committed. Now, those crimes are all civil and is punishable by fine or maybe some kind of community labor here and there. But with immigration, the next thing they have to do, they don't want to spend that money to rehabilitate you. Rather, they will deport you. Now, so if you know your right to have an immigration lawyer, you can, if you think that deportation is unjust, you can fight it by addressing the matter to a competent immigration lawyer who can tell you your chances of staying or you might be deported. It will catch you violate immigration rules or laws. It's not a criminal offender. You should be sentenced to prison. No, but you'll be detained civilly so that the process can go in because of we'll call it lack of you jump a bill. Keji ashimbu ni adite where you might escape to another town. That's why they have to keep you so that the process will go on and they can determine yes, you are entitled to stay or you have to be removed. That's why they detain them. But it's not a criminal offense. It's purely civil infringement. It's not criminal. Yes. It only becomes criminal when you are caught after deportation and you re-enter. Then it becomes criminal offense under the statute. Will be an keje deport Mukeba, no actual Mexico, hello Canada, no Kebutin and Mobo actually re-entrant say yes, that one about jail for 3 years before about deportable. That's when it becomes criminal. Once we are sanctioned and you violate the sanctions, it becomes criminal.
How any of our Chinese and Lona be be like and be no many G into Comenian ni making fan Benica by Podienche when you watch our map on look at Tonic the Videm.
And Pale. 9 out of 10, only by make a fan by I thought which more.
It was greener pastures.
Yes. No say school. Which one I thought she Keji. Ayata onuchumo beja no toye ni achon na ka ata onuchumo ya blochi ye mokomano beja no to fe jemeshe onake no a little cumbersome you have to qualify no one in the government initiative ni banake work abroad there they are doing it genuinely to eliminate third parties or agents so that the government will have direct contracts with the recruitment agencies abroad so that they can have control over who goes and who does not go. And then the right people must go through the right channel. There are process and procedure and qualification based on the type of job. No, actually, a application here. A lot of people don't have the education on that. Nurse, America, no, actually, as a nurse. There's a process you have to go through. You don't have to go for B1, B2 visa and then decide to go to America and work. No. You look for a company, about our company, a hospital, need recruit, which is authorized by the Department of State to recruit nurses abroad. You go through them, through the process, and they will guide you and they will file for you. And then you get the requisite permission from there, from the UCIS. That will buy embassy about visa. You are going with your work permit legally. You don't have to go and struggle and be hiding the shadows. Not at all. So these procedures are there. But now that a lot of people don't know and they don't ask. Well, if you don't read or you don't ask experts on these things, you find yourself getting a B1 visa with the intention of going to work and you find yourself in problem.
Maybe I can challenges come in. And you get no bas no blind, call blind, many mass market. I may find better. You get a big pure dada. Neither must my family, Nanu Bahami, Konayama can be a fan down. I may take step, Pokra.
And a qualeco tano fangbe, the first no free jackets, and no le ake yenu yaulumuku jeme. Oji Kankling Ulimuku, ye, man no ya. Secondly, Monungo no ya, so no face track, Monungo no ya le huen. Eye wojini ebanye ebini ebu ketashi ya masay until bohun onna owoji no kokoba okeba injeme. Tojo number 2. Number 3 ko o nana kanibi efe ogbena. Now gbeno na acho na ke your officer na ke ya. Sani bohun o fe research fi o ka say online about big questions about consult competent agencies na abanya me mini ame about advice. She will be was more easy things. Abaka wo let me in some interview, small finike, metal and again. No hani kenakai. She casa ne can ba agents at the but they obano akalaka was one about chong benekeno, utanu yaleneke, or happy neke. Leon ni leon which one they chose, you know, leba ida de keke a tossable. She kaji onamoni chona kanuchmo jubano hale o intente. Back about the Benone Kelanya Tuneke, Sineke Boni Yale. You will call off who meet the criteria. Abanye, bad advice worker. This is the route to go, and you can follow this route and you apply. Ni bore cho ba interview na visa mukunye e visa babu yeshia dabi. You have to follow the rules, apply, and then go to interview and receive your visa. All you need is the information, education, so that you can assist yourself and grant and then go to the interview and receive your visa. It will like advice my market. I may make sure some member na maya. The money I'm more you will never receive me. The keji tourists no we are for business and pleasure. Look for a nice place. Make sure you have the means. Oh yes, shika. Or you pay for hotel. Or you for medical insurance, national American insurance. Or you pay plane ticket. There's enough for you to spend on yourself. And how to establish those things, that's why you have to read about it. And the embassy website has all these informations. Okay, these are the things you need. Now, after the interview, if you have all the right documentation, I don't see why the interview should be a problem. Because all the document you have is yours, and you have everything, you know everything that's in the application. So there should be no doubt that you'll be able to defend or you'll be able to pass the interview. Yes.
Yeah, maybe a football for no chair. There
is a scenario.
We have a scenario.
Boko ya interview ni abi like mini date of birth. Ne che na kala ke e ba be than 10 years ago. Ne date of birth ke ba jenu. They were very confused. At the point of not knowing that way. Moko promise like a fan. It was an application. Afemini. Aya no. Akwe no kunukunuku. It was I may forget. It was like about that, but they marry can be ni tani fangbe husband with iba. No by ya. They fill application. Date of birth they no. It contradicts none of your system. That was about 15 years ago. I hear information if I will be like a check date of birth. There was the German a sure if a change of date of birth by a affidavit put to that effect. She a and yakokeba. Danny I verify. These are some of the things they will scrutinize you. When they keep every single data to ensure that accuracy, consistency plays a role because they want to be fair and then conduct what we call it fair interview, due process and opportunity. Though people complain, but it depends on how the application is prepared. That will determine the sort of questions. There was a situation in Abi Mokwake. I'm going to ask you some questions, and your answers to my question will determine how the process will end. That's what happened at the interview. You have applied for the visa, about Bible questions, about mini questions about Bible about and qualify for visa. Your answers to the question will determine the outcome of the interview. Which the interview questionnaires are very simple. It's all about you in application, not from anywhere. The interview questions are generated from the application you submitted, and that's how it is. So you have to ensure your information in the application is accurate as yourself. Anything outside your application cannot be used against you, but it is only what is an application. But mind you, the embassy also have a way of collecting what we call external information to guide them to make sound decision. So that's what a lot of applicants need. Amele, embassy access na me gather external information. Then they use that in their judgment. It will call so official information about you must be pendant in application and you should be able to defend those information. Yes, maybe you know those information are out there. So they give you a benefit of the doubt. Okay, go and produce this, go and produce that, go and bring court records, go and bring this to establish what you are saying.
Mama me as a country, Ghana, Boni, or Chossi or one man be brought to a name. Won't Chossi me and a king Benoni, Ken Nakanokwe, me ministry, me Kupos and Cafe, Chossi about couldn't come back from Podinche in an alley. One more day and a king, Chossi one name, or no, Yego crab.
Anokwale obisani agbowa ayeche no le ni wo kokwe wo ma na enyi befa he chosemo ke nile ye wo mankwalo agbaja no ame wie hechon ni ye ni sani amewie na kanibia yi waji wo foreign affairs ame square sani quote the US Embassy website again. Information is in Jamaica, American citizens. I can go back from there. I list countries so back from there. Nibi no fee. So no fee careful. Femo neke country neke Caribbean crime rate here high. Country neke yo. You go back share country le hwe. So no make sure so I report the American Embassy. Kuno na ko ba mami. Shiko kwe wo mane policy se ko meye. Alo policy ko read for instance, go foreign policy and your Ministry of Foreign Affairs website there. I mean, it's about a page. They go read a point to Article 40 of the 1992 Constitution that the U.S.-Ghana relationship. And she call you no fang, but no ya manko no ya kase no ya fini ne. Wo website alo wo government alo wo man here yellow na ka chose mo ke ni le akengme egbe no bale ake ne kesa no fee kota no amanko ne nesa no fee ne ko fee ne ke she wada chesa ne what take man tele no afi na ka research e wo kaji wo man bi e banye ha na kan do je ame obligation ni but it's just for educational purpose because I ke wo magana bi wo so be fa wa so if there is a forum allo institutions ko ni allo offices ko allo government ni ko banye put some of this information out there to be the American Embassy here on my website. Keji utano fagbeno ya Africa about chomba this country neke ko ya tourist neke ko ya actually business neke have investment neke and state fair demo Americans they know why they are coming, they know where they are going, what they are coming to do, how long they stay, they know the crime rate and the kind of things that is happening. They are abreast of it. It will come about, they know what to do and what not to do. It will not neke mbole. In fact, me bole as I speak with you in nakunuku to wanaka boke ye bole le because when maybe me questions ni kama ke no le ni le shi no we na me ma fe research ni ma kwa ake if there's actually a forum or there's a system ni obanyo kwa ni ofemini onyo na na ke information na ni we discuss on there oni bo nko ba fagbe onye ofishin na what I know a lot of people go to if they want to go to Canada they go to Canada mini IRCC, Canadian Commission website. They find out the requirement on all those things because it's of paramount importance. There are certain articles and published off aware. She my comment was current foreign minister neighbor first a pass circular note kete ni complaints could not fail about how some of the embassies treat our applicants. And Nakanote was very, very effective and it's quite educative as well. Okay, handbame na hele shake or government na ake Ghana be fan so there are certain things you have to communicate to the embassies ni about femini. Amana kuna menyame how na kind, privilege as a country ni want to offer go ya nyama mi ekwe yeni odumo ni wa to line unu no ke ni bi ni numo ne nche ni gbomedumo numbo no ni ana ekwe na bata ekwele appointment to abupo nche very complicated though they say it's user friendly but I bet you between me and you come back America website we book appointment but I struggle but it's accessible to everyone yeah it's accessible but it's not user friendly as you say he mentioned all those things which means as no you on a concern with it there's a need for this education to be out there. What they publish in a circular note, they issue note verbal to all the foreign ministries, foreign missions say, the council say, high commission, they should follow these steps as to the relationship between the country, their host nation. More smooth, but they are not instructing them or forcing them to issue visas. No, they have their discretion. But for humane treatment of visa applicants should be established in a way people will not be humiliated when they go to the embassies to go and queue in the sun. When it's raining, they have to.
Mokoni nkweboni basmake efagbe ni eya ajole. Mino basmake etawo segbe ni ke eneshon to ba yibo aleten koni e ale hwehwehwe.
Anokwale wona kele Bokubake J connection menjiwo ni J travel agency ujiwo purely consultancy firm jiwo what we do keji otanu fagbe will educate you on your rights, what to know 101 before you travel. That's what we do. We'll just educate you on your rights 101. What the things are no late. That's what we do. Number 055-777-8890. After show kuni wahambu information feno tao about befa. Yes.
Mas mono wona gbenga woni wo kan mambi wo ka ma bi kokule wa be kon kan bi kokulu bi.
Anakwale niji befa sane nele be pi a problem ni amele ye ndama ka chon shi numbodomo wotemu come around ni obanyo femini ogwa kuni amenya amenu libi kuma ashishin kuni kamba fangbe efe easy hame iwo ka ji otano fangbe sano tawo competent consultancy firm ni ame nakahi befa manu ta ame knowledge ni abanya amewabo ni ame have the right any information when you can apply visa on your own.
Nandi nani o menja ke be sane ye money wo check ibo efono ke awo konike we na gbe ya ke Ghana bi oblaye bi ke bi o na ke aya aba koni ke aleno ni bon o ba ye ko e ka fe na gba ke mo shi kon ni sha me no ngawo ka ni bi ni o me yele ke ba ni o me abanya chombo gba ni o chono ke wa sheje ake ba ke papa wo se na sha ke wo se o ba ke onna ko ni ta ko jibo ni fe jele fe shibo ogbenya do de ja e woni evale na kan wada wonyime no shi ni ebe ji Chris Alipui-Plunch ni Paralegal specialist on immigration law e trust what the nje oche okay we are don't come ko na help mami be no ba ya be manga wonye ni ji choshila yela police station jo mi ke ebesh ni ekwe obo nti be da nele etai ifo acho ke nuncho ajobo ni emom agbene obaya no ni wo ha osofo Ishmael Aji Abuaji ku fe ake no ko papa Ishmael Aji Abuaji ne ju osofo ko ndo boni TV o kale for program fe mo shi nuncho echele wo ke aleno ni moko enale bi edon be opa e ka wo she okay nuncho ajo ku fe ni ku nation yese ni emo emi nakano be wonye ni ji Mabel kwa ofio ebe kwa ofio ma mi kome le onu ncho echele ni ho ni ba ne abato le tashi pendia president safo emi lebi na he no we kume na jo me fen be ho ne oba kwa ni wo onye be nyemeyo ni ji Grace Adaku ke nyemeyo ni ji Gifty Ode ni nyenyawo etwense be wonyeme yo no le twon ne bi ni Robert ke hanye fe ake afi no ko ke nuncho amonyemi nyenyawo ni ji Madam Victoria Ankpa Aduale ayi ni aba tole 27th of June ke nuncho amonyemi ko ni ewonye wale ko ni fe nye yale juba dienche ke mamuna be House of Yahweh be ke ambienoko ninji out of praise ene baba no 13th July ameke asafo bi fen akpe nyima bi nyeba ko nuncho dromo ni yo mienyo ne ahye ekono ni enene baya no House of Yahweh ni yo spin test be no ni me ni ba twom me be wonyime yo ni ji manya Priscilla Sister Gifty Minister Ebenezer Mr. Randy ke blessing ni osofo nupa ni dumona na cho me fen jake Dr. Paul Boss de nyeba ko nyeba na ne ken jo mo ne eko mambi obafo ko se wonyemi yo ni jina aduka efe klalo ko ni inshire jemo ni bi ni yo me e kama nya panu ka cha nya kra wonfo ni ko se oba chikombe kon ya oboni TV no
Inke ofotan, siese sa diepi. Otumotan, siese sa die baba o. Do ajobe na oate. Inke otumotan, siese sa diepi. Ofotan, siese sa die baba o. Inke onye milela no shwele si la si shwe mo japadi he no wala no gbeke no ipoto abifa no gbeke na gbena odo to asika no na o so onye mile gbla ye de ko onye mile wu minka ko onye mile ngam minka ke baba David ya mo bese ba yurianga de kele na bole de be yurete fo do wa mlin fu ba David no de ke David ya ke de mene ke ya klante na gbele ba yo se ya de kokoko musumbi black klante ye no akele we fatalo na bole na ka no pepe ke onye milela no shwele si la si shwe mo japadi he no wala no gbeke no ipoto abifa no gbeke na gbena odo to asika no na o so onye mile gbla ye de ko onye mile wu minka ko onye mile ngam minka ke baba ke baba do ajoe na oate ke gbele ba baba ke baba do ajoe na oate ko anya bo afite ko swefe baba do ajoe na oate anyami monita woni ke hena mi de gbe papa no be chonle ni tamwa fi li abuo